Call this meeting of the zoning board of appeals to order. First order of business. Are there any comments? No, I guess not. First order of business is the draft meeting minutes from December 15th. It was a short meeting other than ADU stuff, but anybody have any comments?
No.
Move to accept as read.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next one up is 63 Powers Road. It looks like Attorney Robbins is here. Can we have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Attorney Robbins, you're up.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm here tonight for Murray Realty, LLC. I'm here with Stephen Murray, who's the manager of Murray Realty, LLC, but I think everybody here knows him as British Delights at 63 Powers Road. They have operated on that site now since 2008. And actually, Mr. Murray bought that building from Mr. Nardone in 2015. British Delights is actually taking over this entire structure now. Really a great expanding business in the town of Westford. They use the majority of the building for warehousing for sales. Really, most of their sales at this point are internet sales. I think that only I think I said in my cover letter, 10% of the sales on the site were retail sales, but it's actually much less than that, and it's not just COVID related. In 2020, 4.6% of the sales were retail sales. 2019, 6.2% of the sales were retail sales. And in 2018, 7.6% were retail sales. So it's really low. They do have a cute little store when you walk into the building to the second door. Actually, I'll get a picture on the back here. You can see it. But it is quite small, and this is the retail sale portion of the all of the units now. The rest of the units are all used for warehousing the goods that are sold via the internet. So we're here tonight for an expansion of the pre-existing non-conforming use, which actually is the warehouse use. In the IH zoning district, warehousing is not allowed. Wholesale sales are allowed to commercial buyers, which is the majority of his business out here, but not the warehouse sales. The warehouse actually is pre-existing non-conforming. Just by way of history of this building, the building was built just a center part in 1974 by Mr. Nardone. There were 2 units out there and some older bays to get to the back for storage in the original building. And actually in 1974, this zoning district didn't even exist. The IH zoning district didn't exist in 1974 zoning, but this use was allowed. In 1984, Mr. Nardone came back and expanded the building and added 2 more units to the left and right-hand side, and actually improved all of the bays around the back of the building for industrial deliveries, so that there's still today 4 delivery bays to the back of the building. You may be wondering why I'm presenting you with a 1985 plan in 2022, but that's because the building has not changed since that time. We're making no changes, we're proposing no changes, there's no outside changes whatsoever to this structure, and we're not proposing any at this time. The reason for this request actually came by accident. There was an accident in the building, one of the employees got hurt, and fire had to respond, and OSHA had to respond because it was an industrial accident. And at that time, Mr. Fontaine, as the building commissioner, was also brought in to review the site and some of the issues that the fire was looking at. And at that time, we tried to figure out what this use was and how it came into being, because at that time, Commissioner Fontaine saw that he was starting to move into Unit 4, and it actually moved into all the units within the structure. So that's why we're here tonight, for an extension of the pre-existing non-conforming use. To get a warehouse in this district now, you would need a special permit. We do not have one. We have the warehouses because it's pre-existing non-conforming. There's not a lot of evidence out here, and I can tell you the fact that it took us this time to get to this board was because the files, even on the town level, were difficult to go through, and there's not a lot of material. But as you can see on this 1985 plan that's approved, it says only 25% of the gross floor area is used for office space. And looking back through the history of what the uses were out there, Mr. Nardone used a portion of the building for his own office use in the front with storage in the back. For a long time, there was a carpet business there, which had a small retail portion for display out front and then storage in the back. And then there were some very random uses out there that are also not allowed by right, such as a nail salon, and there was a gymnastics place there for a while that actually got relief of the board. So that one's not an oddball. So what we're requesting tonight is an extension of the pre-existing non-conforming use so that we can allow the warehousing to continue and subsequently the sales out there and the small retail portion, which is clearly accessory to the business as an internet sales place out there. Just before I turn it over to the board, though, I do want to note a couple things that were in the staff report. There was a note out there about conservation coming out and also the Board of Health agent having issues with what was being stored out there. So in the rear of the structure, there were some pallets that were being stored between the dumpster and the resource areas. Not only did the Conservation Commission take issue with that, the fire department took issue with that. There was a lot of pallets back there. To remedy that issue, Mr. Murray actually bought 3 trailers and stored all of the pallets within those trailers very neatly on the site. Since that time, we've had the conservation agent, Matt Salem, out there, and I know it's beyond the scope of the board, but what we've agreed to do is leave one of the trailers back up there to the right of the site, and we're going to put some wetland mix down there in the spring, and also we're going to rebuild the dumpster pad for the dumpster only. Both of those are in the resource buffer areas. Lieutenant Parsons came out as well and just reviewed that the pallets had been completely removed from the site, and also took a look at the proximity of the trailers that are to the left and right of the property now. And he had no concern. The only thing being stored in these trailers is the pallets and some cardboard, and so he had no issues as to the content. And that goes for Mr. Price's comments as well by the Board of Health. He was concerned that there was food being stored out here in these containers, which requires further relief from the Board of Health, but there's no food out there whatsoever. So Mr. Price is satisfied from the Board of Health perspective as well. But in creating a solution to the pallet problem and the other problems, we created a new problem in that the trailers to the left and the right of the building can be seen from the roadway. So subsequent to solving all of those issues, we received some correspondence from the building commissioner that these had to be screened from the public way. Now, this site is also pre-existing non-conforming as to landscaping and other setbacks, so I think that we have some solutions here. I took pictures so that the board can see them traveling in both directions. This is the storage container. If you're coming from the ski area towards British Delights, you can see that it's right there on the side of the building. I took 2 pictures. And then if you're going towards the ski area with British Delights on your right-hand side, this is the other storage container.
You bring that up, Melissa?
Sure.
Kind of long distance from.
You should be wearing those glasses, not doing him.
No, this is a lot better. That's a lot better.
So this is from the right-hand side coming from the ski area.
Okay.
And this is the other side coming towards the ski
And that's the
area.
trailer. Okay, that's the container.
Yeah, so that's the trailer. And really, right now, the trailer is yellow. As you know, this is a block building that is white. And I think that likely, if these storage containers were painted white and not yellow to camouflage itself into the building, it wouldn't be unsightly from the roadway, and we can satisfy that condition. So I do have an additional request of the board tonight, in addition to the extension of the pre-existing non-conforming use, which is to allow those containers to stay to the left and the right of the structure. They will be screened per the bylaw by painting them white. And if the building commissioner has any issues with that subsequent to the units being painted white, we'll work with the commissioner to put some additional screening out there. But any additional screening right there would be, I think, bring more attention to the units themselves than help. So that is my request for the board. I think I've given you a lot of information, so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer it.
Okay, so before we go any further, I just want to have put in the public record that due to an unanticipated error, a lot of the abutters did not receive the initial mailing of a legal notice. All the abutters were re-notified December 9th with revised legal advice. Applicant's request to postpone the public hearing until January 19th, just so that anybody in the audience is aware of this is what's happened. And it was no fault of staff or the applicant. It was an unexplained error, I guess. So, tell me why the trailers can't go behind the building?
We're getting more into the resource areas, and you can see the resource areas lines actually jog out right behind the building. Yes, I think Joe's pointing at them right now. So to put more back there would actually be impactful and get really close to that 200-foot line, especially in the center of the site where we're squeezed a little bit. So where we did put, see where it says relocate existing dumpster area?
Yeah.
That's really a previously disturbed area, so we did put one trailer right there that's not of concern to conservation. But once we start putting more trailers back there, we really are starting to impact the resource areas. And I just want to point out, in the industrial highway district and in most districts, you can have the trailers there. The rule is that they just have to be screened from public view. It's a little just more difficult here just because of the nature of, you can see the trailers from both sides as you're traveling down the roadway.
Okay.
You're occupying the whole building,
Yes.
and it's still inadequate space? It's just been a growth issue, is that it, or?
Well, the pallets themselves isn't really an issue as to the inside. It's how you are going to get rid of the things that you're selling. So either that or you have to buy pallets every single time that you're selling units out of there. So in order to keep the pallets on site, you either store them outside, which is also allowed in the IH zoning district, but because of the limitations to the rear of the site here, that we're in the resource area, we can't do that. So we have to put them inside somewhere. Putting them inside the structure would take away from all of our warehouse space. So really the most common sense place to put them is to put them in trailers like this.
Pallets that are in the trailer?
It's pallets, yes.
That's the only thing that's in there?
Pallets and cardboard. Yeah, and
Cardboard and forklift machinery.
yeah, to just move the pallets around.
So what are the pallets, are they reused constantly and therefore moved from the trailer to the warehouse, or?
Yeah, and they're used in the sale because there's a ton of wholesale sales that come out of this structure. So you take the goods off of the structures that you saw, the storage structures here, and put them directly onto the pallets to go into the truck, and that's the way that they're shipped out.
So having dealt with the same kind of an issue when I had a hardware store back in the day, not only do you need pallets to send out, but every time you get something in, it comes on a pallet.
Right.
And all of a sudden, you got a mound of these things sitting there and say, what the hell am I gonna do with them?
Right.
I mean, we used to give them away for free. But, you know, you can only harbor so much of this.
Right.
So, I mean, I think putting them in a trailer is an excellent idea. It's something you need to have. So, I mean, there's no other alternative.
Right. Yeah, and we're turning over quite a bit. The sales have expanded quite a bit in 2020, and the commercial sales using those pallets has gone crazy. So they really are a necessity for the use on the site.
Any other questions from the board? Dan?
I don't know if it would be directed to you or the council. We really don't have any comments from the fire department, other than asking the building commissioner to classify what the use group is,
Right.
which I don't see what it was, because that's going to really determine the fire protection equipment that's going to be needed in the building, if it's sufficient for this expansion with the additional load of the merchandise.
Right. No, we did meet with Lieutenant Parsons on site. He had no issues as to fire safety at all.
Well, you mentioned that you met with him about the pallets, nothing about inside.
Nothing about inside, and I know that Commissioner Fontaine is here, but this was actually permitted as an industrial building, so there's been no change in use. The use of industrial has been maintained the entire time. The only thing that's changed is this underlying zoning and what's allowed by right and not by right.
But like, is the existing equipment that's in there, you know, the smoke detectors and stuff, because I know obviously it's not a sprinkled building because there was no water at the time when it was built. But is that equipment, is that sufficient in case there's an incident inside the building with the additional commodity that's being stored in there?
I can follow up with Lieutenant Parsons, but since he's been out there a couple times after the OSHA incident, I can imagine that that's been inspected pursuant to him being on site, but I can double check, and it can be a condition of this permit as well, that we double check with Lieutenant Parsons that he's satisfied with all fire code issues out there. But we wouldn't want it any other way anyway. We want the building to be safe, so.
Oh, no,
Yes.
absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else from this board? Any comments from the audience in favor? Any comments from the audience opposed? Seeing none, I think it's a great use for the building, and I think it's wonderful that you're wildly successful. In a day and age where retail, wholesale is up and down and all around and everything else, I think it's great. So, we need to have a motion for a special permit to allow for the extension of a pre-existing non-conforming warehouse use with accessory retail sales. And, how do you want to word your trailers, Melissa?
To allow the trailers to stay in the side yards in conformance with section 3.6.2.6 of the Westford zoning bylaws, per the discretion of the building commissioner.
Joe, have you got all that?
I do. We'll also need a motion to close the public hearing.
Yep.
Or a motion to approve.
So can we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So move. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So if you've got all that, are there any other conditions? We want to follow up with Lieutenant Parsons as a condition? Okay, Joe, you got that too?
Yep.
All right. Did we have a motion in a second?
We did.
Okay. Paul?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Scott F?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I also vote for affirmative. I don't think I need to tell you your time frame, so you have that down.
Yes. Thank you very much, members of the board.
Good
Thank you.
luck.
Yep.
My wife, we need to go there to get her a tea.
I like those in the short prints.
Does she,
What's she buying? They've been there
They got
forever.
all kinds of jams, jelly. It's just, it's more for, almost like gift shop.
Okay, next up, 57 Acton Road.
Very little traffic there.
Hi there.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little terrified, and she's a little bit of a hard act to follow. We're just homeowners, and we're trying to do some renovations in our home.
Just like you 2 weeks ago, I forgot.
Hang on 1 minute.
Okay.
We have a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, you're here on an ADU issue. First order of business is you asked to waive the certified plot plan and to use a mortgage survey plan.
Correct, Joe. I'm throwing him under the bus. He said that was okay to do, and
It is, but while I have our building inspector right here, I think part of the condition for a building permit is a certified plot plan, am I correct?
Mr. Chair, you're correct with this, but everything that was done within the existing footprint of the building.
Okay,
So we used the model.
okay, okay.
we're not looking for a permit tonight. It's more about the accessory apartment variance or whatever you.
Okay, so, you want to give a little explanation?
Sure,
Tell
sure.
us what you think you want to do.
Yep, so we purchased this home on June 2nd, moving from Carlisle to Westford, and one of the factors that we loved about this home is that we were told it had an accessory apartment in it. So we looked at the home. My husband is a contractor and builds houses, so this was a big fixer-upper kind of for us. I thought this is great because this apartment is a great thing because we both have elderly parents that could potentially use it very soon, within the next year or two. My father's 89 and is ready, although he doesn't think he's ready. But anyway, so we thought this could be a great thing to renovate and use for his mother or my father. And eventually, down the road, which is not part of this topic, we want to put a second floor on this house. So then we could rent out that apartment and have it as income, extra income. So that was very appealing to us to buy this house. Then when we talked to Henry, I guess the Antonellis never did the due diligence of, well, we didn't either. They never did the paperwork to actually make this an accessory apartment. And this is our bad, is we didn't do the due diligence. We believed our realtors, we believed what we read, and that was it. So now we're, in the case that we have this house and an apartment, 2 separate driveways, that we thought was going to be beneficial, economically beneficial for us having elderly parents, and it's technically not an accessory apartment. So that, I guess, is the reason why we're here tonight, is we would like to make it on paper that it's an accessory apartment. We got it assessed, and it was assessed as a 2-family house. I'm sorry, I don't know the difference between a 2-family and accessory apartment. I should have kind of done some research on that.
I think we had this discussion. Did we ever resolve this issue?
We can certainly follow up with the assessor's office. That's something new to me, but I can certainly follow up with them.
Okay.
So I saw some emails from Ray Dick from the health department saying if you want to move forward on renovating this as an accessory apartment, you need to, she needs to see plans of exactly how many rooms are in this apartment. And do you mind if I just hand these out?
Nope.
These are the existing. So I gave you so many plans, which is a little, like I gave you too much. I gave you what we want to do 5 years from now. I gave you so this is what's existing. So the basement, we got a permit to gut it from Henry. So there are no rooms in the basement at all. And there is 1 bedroom in the main house and 1 bedroom in the accessory apartment right now. So right now it's considered a 2-bedroom dwelling.
Thank you.
So that's it. So this is what's existing right now. The last page is a separate conversation about what we want to do to the apartment before my father moves in. And that really, these are kind of 2 separate things. We want to make an accessory apartment. I spoke to Ray. She said, if you do that, you have to either have a septic in series, or you have to have 2 septic, 2 septic tanks. And that is something that we plan on doing. We don't have a plan for that yet, but we will do that. So I guess tonight it's about having it become an accessory apartment. The second portion, and I don't want to be confusing, is that the kitchen cabinets are falling down, and we want to replace the kitchen cabinets. And then we want to move the bathroom, an ensuite bathroom to the bedroom, so my father can have his own bathroom. And right now, to move from the main house, if you see bedroom 1 on what I just handed you, you have to walk through the bedroom to get into the apartment. So we want to change that existing bathroom into a hallway, so no one has to walk into my father's bedroom to walk into his apartment.
2 bedrooms.
Right, you have to walk through 2 bedrooms, exactly. So, so I guess we're here tonight, I guess mostly to talk about the moves to make an accessory apartment approved. At least that's what we thought we were buying.
Okay. So I guess one of the big issues is septic.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Do we have any idea what the septic system is?
We plan on doing a new septic anyway, so we want to, what do we want, 2 more bedrooms upstairs? So we want a 4-bedroom septic system.
Right.
So we plan on doing that shortly. We're going to be doing some excavation anyway. We're putting a pool in the backyard. So we want to get the septic done with the pool so that all the excavation work is done right away.
But we need a plan to have either septic in series or 2 tanks, is what I spoke to Ray today about. And she knows that we're working on that.
This is the first I've heard of this septic.
Yeah, I thought you always could use
situation.
your existing septic.
It's considered 2-family, she
Depends on how
said.
many bedrooms
You
it's
need
cleared for.
2,500 gallons, so it's a 1,500-gallon tank and a 1,000-gallon tank.
Because it's an ADU?
No, because of Title V.
Well, with an ADU though, they always use the existing septic system.
Yeah, it's just, you have to put another tank in.
With
You
an
can have so
ADU?
much capacity for the number of bedrooms.
Really? We've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
the size of your septic is dependent on how many bedrooms you have. It has nothing to do with bathrooms or anything, it's just bedrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
But we've never had anybody tell
I've
us.
had to put a couple in town that we've done. We've had to put either another 1,000-gallon tank in addition to the 1,500 that was existing, or a 2,500-gallon multi-compartment tank. It's, that's the State Title V regulations.
It doesn't change the leach field that much, does it? No.
No.
Okay, well, we learned something new tonight. Any questions from the board about this?
So I would assume if we were to grant this existing ADU as an ADU, the rest of the septic and everything else would fall under the building commissioner,
Board of Health.
and Water Health and whatnot, because they're gonna get permits to renovate?
Henry,
Is that what we're looking at?
Mr. Chair, members of the board, when they would apply for a building permit to do the work, Board of Health would have to sign off on it.
Okay.
So typically what we do is, and what the applicants did is they went over to Board of Health for us to make sure that they can put this unit in place. So, where Ray gave them the okay on what they needed, so I was satisfied with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, if the board would notice that we're looking for two things tonight, we're doing a special permit for the after-the-fact ADU, and once again, we get the variance criterion for
To
the,
exceed.
to exceed the 33%.
Right.
And I think that,
Try to change that, right?
you know, we're working on changing that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I think both of them kind of do the same way. So, is there anybody here in the audience to speak in favor of this request?
I like it, from what I've heard.
Thank you. Anybody to speak in opposition to this request? Okay, seeing none. If the board has no more questions, what I'd like to do is act on the variance first, which is a variance to create a 945 square foot ADU, which exceeds, can we have a motion to close the public
So
hearing?
moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Julie's keeping me honest tonight. So we need a variance to create a 945 square foot ADU, which exceeds 33% of the gross floor area of the principal structure, or 800 feet.
So moved.
Second.
Paul?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Scott F?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. Now we need to vote on the special permit for the creation of the ADU. I have a motion to that effect.
So moved. Second.
Paul?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jim?
Yeah.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. So, you have the variance, you have the special permit for your ADU. Staff has 14 days to write the decision. There's a 20-day appeal period. And after that, Henry's gonna be your new best friend.
He's already my best friend. We're already buddies.
So you're all set?
Great,
Welcome to Westford.
thank you very much.
Good luck with it.
Yeah.
How'd you get that thing?
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, it's like, yeah, right?
They got a better spot than yours.
Damn real it is.
How the hell that get through?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look like that.
Who was the
No, he
building
was at
inspector?
clerk of the work the night I was there.
You all know who he was?
Who he is? Were you here when he did
Yeah,
that? Huh?
yeah,
How'd that
yeah.
look? And he didn't even do it for himself.
All right, the next item on the agenda is 10 Elderberry Way. Can I have a motion to open public hearing?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? The Higginses, I assume?
Yes.
Okay, tell us what you want to do, or what you're trying to do.
So I'm Jim Higgins. My family's lived in Westford since 1979. We came back in 2013. I apologize for the half, but I was coaching hockey tonight up at Skate 3. Had to come right here, so sorry about that. We decided to build a wonderful patio, and then what happened was a tale of choosing a contractor who told us things that maybe he shouldn't have. So we decided, after deciding on a patio, to build a gazebo as well over the patio for a nice outdoor living space. We were told that he could do it and that he would take care of everything in terms of, it's not a full structure, it's a gazebo, all of that. Come to find out, the the structure is built a little too close to the house. And we were alerted to that by Mr. Fontaine. We have been working with him closely to try to remedy that, some other things with the property. But the truth is, it's one day from being completed, but yet it's a little too close to the house based on Westford laws. So that's the crux of it. There are some other things that need to get done before it would be finalized and permitted, which we have plans to do. But I think the variance is really about the distance from the house for the gazebo.
Okay, yeah.
I would note that the distance from the house, now in retrospect, I don't know if we would have had many other options, because directly behind where the gazebo is built is a couple trees. We would have to tear those trees down. And then to the right of the structure is our well. So we would then be encroaching on the well space if we were to move it any more to the right. So it actually just kind of ended up in that place without us knowing what the rules were.
Well, it's a tough lesson to learn.
And an expensive one.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. It looks like a really nice structure. So we're like 11 feet short of the bylaw. Side yard setback's fine, rear yard setback's fine. Does the board have any questions, comments?
Any neighbors, plus or minus, any input from, I can't really tell from you.
The complaint did not come from our neighbors, and both.
This is your kind of an enclosed back area.
Yes.
You're not intruding on any neighbors'
Correct.
visibility or anything like that.
Correct.
Our neighbors to the left have beautiful, huge evergreen trees.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah, so
and our
you're
neighbors
sort
to
of-
the right, which we don't have anything in between our yards, they went to go walk on the rail trail through the trail behind the house, and were shocked to see that we had built it. They didn't even know it was there.
Yeah, so-
So it's kind of put in a way to where none of our neighbors
You're
are.
not intruding on
over
anybody.
here.
Is that fireplace gonna be in the gazebo?
I believe, yes.
Legal, Jim?
Which hat do you want me to wear tonight, Paul?
What's that?
Which hat do you want me to wear?
Well, it's just a question of, instead of
I believe the
Oh,
way that
later.
he's structuring it is to where the fireplace chimney is going to be part of the roof, so it would be built into the chimney.
I have a question for the building commissioner. Does this contract have a CSL?
Members of the board, no, he doesn't. This contractor that came in, I met with him last week. He's a landscaping contractor. And he said that the materials were purchased and he was asked to put it together. He, on his way of getting his construction supervisor license, but he doesn't have it. So I suggested that he did follow through with that. And he is supposed to come back and review with a permit and go over everything. Unfortunately, he has to rejig some of the sonotubes to make sure they meet the proper depth and everything. So he did not have enough experience with this. And I think that's what hurt the project.
The one thing I noticed, I think it was in your letter, the contractor stated that he knows most of the regulations in most of the towns, but didn't know them here in Westford.
Correct.
He's gonna be in that business, and we have an international building code. So it doesn't matter where you are. Some of the zoning may be different or vary from community to community.
There's been quite a few conversations on my part. We're, $35,000 plus into this. So I believe at this point, if he doesn't understand that from my perspective, I would be surprised.
And the
He
way,
actually said he had permits for you, correct?
He said we wouldn't need a permit because it was a gazebo and not a enclosed structure. Then thus started the trail of all of the issues that we have. We made the mistake of trusting a contractor perhaps we shouldn't have.
Really not a mistake, I mean.
I take it as a mistake, but.
I think the key word there is structure. whether it's enclosed or open, it's a structure.
It was positioned to me differently than what we have subsequently learned. This is our first time doing anything significant to our house. We're new at this process, and again, we thought we had someone who was shepherding us through this. Unfortunately, we have found our flaws in our thinking.
So I'll give you a hint. If you're looking for a carpenter and they have Stoneworks in their name, that ain't the guy.
The way he actually positioned it to us was, hey, I'm building you this beautiful patio. Great stonework. The patio's beautiful. But he said, if you want to buy a kit online, I can install it for you. That's how it started. And then we started figuring out, okay, how large is this section going to be, and started looking at kits that size. They were just astronomically priced. So my dad is very handy, so he drove up all the way from Alabama and brought me some nice, shiny, well, rusty tools, and we actually did this together. We didn't install it, but we cut all the pieces and bought the lumber and everything together. So we just were blindly following we'll just build it and then they'll install it, not even knowing any of this.
I have a question for building inspector. You said they're gonna have to re-dig sonotubes to check the depth?
They got, there's,
Is that underneath each of these beams?
yeah,
So the patio's gonna have to be reconstructed at the same time?
probably have to pull a couple of feet around each hole to put sonotubes in.
I'm just wondering, just to help out a little bit, if they're gonna dig it up, could they slide those two end beams in and just shorten this up a little bit?
The minute they went over 120 square feet, building permit.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying to help with the 11 feet too short of what they need. The two posts closest to the house, if they have to be dug up anyway, and the patio has to be disturbed, why can't they just shorten it and bring it away from the house 5 more feet or so?
It's gotta be 11, right? It's gotta be 20 feet?
Yeah, it would be up to the applicants.
Yeah, if you can see from the pictures, there's actually, there's now a separate beam across from the two middle posts. So this roof line ended up not working, so we went with a different kind of roof line just to avoid any kind of snow or rain falling on the patio. I think that would be in the, maybe.
The so-called contractor, he's not on the hook for any of this? I'd be after him like that.
Oh, any of these things that need to be done, he has to do for free. We are just at our limit with him.
Well,
So it would mess with the integrity of the structure, I think, if we were to take off of one side, because right now it's kind of in two different sections with the middle, with the beam across both ends, there we go, and then the beams through the middle. So if we were to take off 11 feet of one side, could it be done? Yes. Do we want it to be done? Not really.
That'd be a significant compromise. I think what it looks like here, it does seem like it's pretty private back there, and I think, my guess is, had you come in looking for relief from this board prior, just on the distance, I don't think I would have seen a big problem with it.
Okay.
The fact that you did after the fact is why we're here. But if you came in before you started this and said, we want relief for 10 feet, it wouldn't give me any heartburn, because you're not encroaching on anybody, you're not bothering anybody. Frankly, a gazebo like that, you probably want closer to your house than further away. You're gonna go out there on a cold night and have a fire, you don't need to be walking through another 10 feet of snow or whatever, and it's not an enclosed structure. Unlike when we had a few months ago where someone wanted to do wildlife watching, it was a whole different building, outpost building. So had this come in as a request up front, I wouldn't have any problem with it, so I think I don't now either, because just step by step has gone backwards, but the fact that the location is not, I'm okay with it.
Can I ask you a hypothetical question, Mr. Building Inspector? If they ran a roof line from this gazebo and attached it to the house, would that be considered part of the house?
Considered part of the house. That would be considered part of the house. We wouldn't even need to be here.
So do you understand what I just said?
I don't think so. Sorry.
So, in this picture here, if you ran a roof line from here to the house and attach it to the house, it would be part of the house, and we wouldn't need to be here for this variance.
But that looks like, I'm not trying to be an engineer here, but that looks pretty difficult with the windows there and the angle of the gazebo.
You'd have to put a hip
To
on it.
attach that to the house.
You just have to
over those
attach it, though.
windows.
It doesn't have to match anything, you just have to attach it to the.
Yeah, no, attach at that angle, I mean,
Yeah, you can put a hip on it from that angle. You just-
Cupola.
And it doesn't have to be the whole size of that roof.
Be a beam.
So you can start over here and go over here, stay away from the window, and put some kind of a roof line through there. Even if it's only a half, going one way, a shed type of roof.
Like a breezeway kind of,
Exactly.
is that, okay.
So I'm just trying to help you.
No, I appreciate the help.
Hypothetical.
But if there's no objection,
Yeah.
you
Why
know,
make 'em do
it
that?
sounds like.
Right, no.
So if we said no, they could do that,
No,
right?
no, no,
Yeah.
I understand, but,
Thank you.
you know, it would, I think it looks better separate.
aesthetically like this, it looks better,
Yep,
for sure.
yes.
So I think, you know, we can't slap the builder's hands, but Henry will not let him do it in town again.
Tony, I think you have the consensus of the board that we're okay.
We'll give the builder a scarlet letter.
I tried Googling them, I couldn't find anything on
Well,
them.
there you go, that's probably why.
Probably got a pickup truck.
It's not incorporated because I went on the state website.
You mentioned lessons, we've learned several. He did our neighbor's patio, and that's how this happened.
Right.
That's difficult,
Yeah.
Well, guy jumps
good job
into the
next
deep end of
door
the
and-
pool and he's not ready. I mean, patios maybe was thing and you didn't look at the bylaws and it is what
All the
it is.
framing and,
Lesson learned.
and all the framing meets criteria, right, Henry?
The framing part of it is not a problem. It's
Okay.
just the base that's
Yep.
supporting is
Right.
a concern to the building department.
How far do they think down, do you know?
2 feet.
That's it?
I had not gone and dug down and looked at the footings. Again, lesson, I guess, but we have a plan to remedy that.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
And we're making him work directly with Mr. Fontaine instead of us trying to work, be the in-between, so.
Okay.
Okay.
So, if you're comfortable, we'll move forward. Okay. Is there anybody in the audience to speak in favor of this?
Yeah, I like this one too. I like it too.
Is there anybody in the audience to speak in opposition to this? Any more questions from this board?
No.
We have a motion to close the public.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So, we are here tonight looking for a variance for an after-the-fact approval for the construction of a 16 by 23.5 gazebo that is located 9.4 feet from the existing dwelling, whereas 20 feet between buildings on the same lot is required. Any conditions?
No rip-roaring fires in the fire pit there.
Yeah,
The fire station's quite a distance from your house.
Do I have a motion in a second?
move. Second.
Paul?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
And I will also vote in the affirmative. So your variance is passed. They have 14 days to write the decision. There's a 20-day appeal period. I suspect that, so the 20-day appeal period is if someone wants to appeal our decision, they have the right to do that. So it sounds like you have more than 20 days of trying to figure out what you're going to do, meeting with the building inspector and everything else. So you'll be notified when the 20 days is up, and you'll get the letter in the mail and move on. Well, good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Could be a nice tiki bar, too.
And next time you plan a project, come see the building inspector, come see staff up here. They're nice people, they'll help you. They really
We're
are.
trying to avoid anyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Is that clean, Jeff? Yeah.
All right, the next order of business is 2 Griffin Road.
Hello.
Hi.
Joe, Henry, it's such a reunion. I saw these guys every day in December. They're wonderful.
Can we have a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I would also like to mention that this applicant has asked for a waiver of a plot plan. And is this going to be the same situation, Mr. Building Inspector, where because it's within the footprint, the mortgage survey plan is going to be fine for your needs?
Mr. Chair, that's exactly the same thing.
Okay, thank you. You're up.
Hello. My name is Monique Boucher. My husband Max and I live at 2 Griffin Road. This is Bill Gray, our contractor. We are here today. Max and I bought the house about 7 years ago. We're totally charmed by this house. It's one of these really old Westford houses, you know, like one of the old school houses. It's a 2-bedroom house, basically, and it's got a 100-year-old barn attached to the house. And so when we bought the house years ago, our intent was that it's just taken us a long time to get here. We want more living space. Like when my husband's parents come and visit, they have to sleep on the couch. You know, we don't have a bedroom for them, so we just want more space. So this is an application for a variance because the barn, which is an existing structure, when we add rooms into it, we're proposing to add a kitchen, another bedroom, a bathroom. It's going to be more than 800 square feet.
So yes, you're actually looking for a variance and a special permit.
Yes, that's right.
Are the two
For
that
an
you're looking for, which
right.
is typical for this type of situation.
That's
And I
right.
just should mention that even though the existing house is considered a 2-bedroom home, in order to access you have to walk through 1 bedroom to get into
Oh, yeah, thank you.
the second bedroom. So there's really, they have a young daughter.
Yeah.
There's no privacy for either or because you have to walk from one, the only access to the second bedroom is through the first one. So they are, part of the barn renovation is going to be the master bedroom, master bathroom. It does call for what's considered a second kitchen. The barn will have a kitchen, but the existing kitchen in the house now is more of a galley-style kitchen. Like you couldn't
can't
cook
get
a
a turkey.
Thanksgiving
Yes,
dinner in
exactly.
it. You couldn't have a family. They're a small family. You couldn't eat in that kitchen. There's not enough room to put a table in.
We go out for Italian every Thanksgiving, honestly.
So is this for,
They're adding 2 gourmet kitchens.
is this for an ADU or just an interior?
According to my paperwork, it's an ADU that exceeds the magic number and a special permit to create the ADU and a variance to make the ADU larger than what's allowed by law.
Right, but it sounds like they're just renovating the inside of their house to add more.
We're not adding anything to the existing footprint.
Right.
No.
But you
So
want
is this gonna be a separate area for like a family member or to rent, or is this just gonna be an interior?
Max and Monique are gonna live, this is gonna be their master bedroom, master bathroom.
Kitchens though?
That's right.
There's one kitchen now, a galley
Gotta
kitchen.
put another kitchen in.
We're gonna put a kitchen into the barn area, which is actually a family kitchen. You know, that they
It's
could
gonna be the ADU
cook and
unit.
eat dinner and sit, and, have
Barn will be the ADU unit, right? Which is just a barn right now, but you're gonna, okay.
It's because of, I guess when I went to permit it and I spoke with Henry, because we're adding that second kitchen, technically it's a second kitchen, we're adding a new kitchen on. That's what triggers the ADU,
Right.
Oh, okay.
because of that second kitchen that we're.
It really just seems like a renovation / addition, or not addition, renovation.
In all honesty, the barn itself, which is a beautiful old barn, is falling over. I mean, we've had an engineer review, we've had it, and the engineers have come up with a plan. We're gonna restructure it from the inside out. So we're not gonna change the look of it, the style of it, or any of the footprint of it. We're gonna put basically a new structure inside it.
So when you get into the existing house, you use a mudroom now? Is that how you get into them?
Breezeway, yeah, yeah.
So the intent in the future, you're gonna use that to get into the ADU also then, or
Be able to enter the ADU.
Yes,
through the breezeway, yeah.
there's a door to the right after you enter.
another entrance into the barn? Okay.
Exterior,
Right.
yeah.
Well, those large doors, those 4 large doors, those are gonna change the appearance, correct?
No, they're gonna stay there. The doors that you see on the outside,
Well, the ones on your drawing here.
Oh, I see the back, yeah, the glass.
Yes, the
there will be glass.
back will
Yeah.
change. That'll be the only, it won't be, that's true, I'm sorry. You won't view that from the road. We are adding that.
Yeah, but still an additional pump, pushing it out a little bit, right?
Nope, nope, it's staying all within the footprint of the existing building.
So you mentioned something that you had to go through one bedroom to get to the other bedroom?
Yeah, our existing house,
Okay.
that's right.
Were you gonna change that then, or how?
No, we're
Okay.
not.
Oh, so you're still gonna, okay.
It's our way of saying, basically, it feels like a one-bedroom sometimes.
Big closet.
I'm sorry?
You have a big closet on one side, that's all.
Big, yeah, right, exactly.
So if they have to go to the bathroom, they have to run through your bedroom then?
Yeah, it happens daily, actually.
So I do know, we've spoke with the Board of Health, and we've been through it, and one of their concerns, because of the ADU, is the septic. We did contract with a local contractor, our Legassi, Tim Legassi's been out. We've passed the Title V inspection. We've proposed, we have a meeting with the Board of Health on the February 9th to get their final approval. We've had the tank redesigned. We're going to put in a new 2,500 gallon dual chamber tank, just to meet that requirement. Conservation, everyone's looked at it, been through, everything. Basically, it's getting the ADU approval and then just getting the new septic approval. We've already had it designed and everything. We're just waiting for that approval also.
When you say dual chamber, you're not gonna put two 2,500s in, right?
No, there's like a divider inside the tank in order to create
2,500.
two separate chambers in there, is what they requested. And we came out, we had the engineer come out, look at everything. The tank that's there is not terribly old, but it just it's not a dual chamber tank. So we've already contracted to have that replaced. It is scheduled for the Board of Health approval, and then weather permitting, we'll get it done as soon as we can get in the ground. It's hard with this weather, with the rain and the freezing and the...
Hopefully it's sooner than later.
Yeah, one day we got 6 inches of frost, one day we got 3 feet.
I mean, we'd rather get rid of the winter quicker.
Any more questions from the board? Comments?
No.
Anybody in the audience speak? It's okay, Dan.
How many parking spaces are required with the ADU?
So, I think we need one space for the ADU, and I don't know what the requirements are for the house.
One for each bedroom, or?
You need one for the ADU, and then both units need access to the driveway.
Yeah, I don't think we really,
You don't go by bedrooms.
Yeah.
If you have a 6-room bedroom here, you get a lot of driveways.
Right, because obviously we all know the site, the location, it's just kind of a
It's tight.
small area there. Just, we don't want to have cars parked out in the street, because like that stone wall in front of your house on Concord Road, at one time was beautiful, but it's been hit so many times over the years.
We have talked a little bit, and I know Max Monique I've spoke with, on the side of the barn, it's an open flat area now, and we have talked about, we might, at a certain point, speak with Henry when their daughter or something gets old enough, maybe gravel an area there to put a car there. Right now, it's loam, mud, you can't really park there, and there is the possibility of, maybe putting some crush base in, putting some parking there to allow a car or two. If they have company over, visitors, they can be off that road. I know myself, I've been there a few times for meetings and things, and
Griffin Road's narrow.
a car that comes around a little too fast, the road's tight.
Narrow road.
Your vehicles to
You
get
can
hit.
currently put 3 cars side by side there right now, can't you?
You can, in the
Yeah.
parking lot, yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody in the audience speak in favor of this petition? Everybody's got a chance going tonight.
Except the last
Anybody in the audience that here to speak in opposition to this report? Seeing none, do we have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, first order of business is the variance request to create a 933 square foot ADU, which exceeds 33% of the gross floor area of the principal structure of 800 feet. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Second. Paul?
Yes.
Jay? Yes. Scott?
Yes.
And Jim? Yeah. And I will also vote in the affirmative. Second order of business is a special permit to add additional living space to an existing barn in order to create an attached dwelling unit, ADU. Motion?
So move. Second.
Paul?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Jim? Yeah. And also vote in the affirmative. So you're all set. I don't know what you heard before, but staff has 14 days to write your decision. There's a 20-day appeal period, so you better not start banging nails before 20 days, just in case.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. Good luck with it.
The next order of business is 2 Park Drive, Unit 1, the Rabbit House.
Eric, yes, probably one of the more unusual requests.
And I have a motion to open the public hearing.
So move, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, ladies.
My name is Suzanne Trahan. I'm the executive director of the House Rabbit Network. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and next month we will have been around for 22 years. So we've been around for a while. We're not new. And we know what we're doing. We've done this for quite a bit. We currently have a small shelter and a network of foster homes. We were looking to expand, and long-term what we want to do is have a shelter and a spay and neuter clinic, because there's a huge need for reasonably priced spay and neuter, especially for rabbits and cats and stuff like that. So long as what we're going to do. We closed on a property yesterday, this property. Christy Taylor is actually the owner for us. And it's zone ZH, and for that we need to have a special permit in order to operate the shelter part. The clinic part is already approved for use in this, and we have to go to the zoning board of appeals in a couple weeks for all that stuff too. Planning board, sorry. Sorry, I got the back.
In 2 weeks.
Sorry, I'm doing multiple meetings. So we're not looking to make any changes externally to the structure. Internally, as far as the shelter part, the only thing we really want to do is, right now, like, there's a smaller sink, and I want to replace it with a standard utility sink. And we may want to build an isolation room in like a small part of it, stuff like that. But other than that, the main part in the main area in the back is where we want to set up rabbit cages. We're looking to set up probably 20 to 25, and if things go well, we may expand a little bit. They're very clean animals. They're, nice, quiet animals. And we just need a special permit to go in and do that, so.
So as you can imagine, we have a million questions.
Yes.
I'll start off with a plan for disposal of waste.
We compost it.
Say that again?
We compost it all.
So,
It's very popular, especially with gardeners. They love rabbit manure.
so where do you compost it?
Well, right now, behind my house in Billerica, but we also have gardeners that come and take it from us. So I kind of like pile it out, and then gardeners come and take it.
So I
Put it
guess,
outside?
Yeah.
Where do you have it stored? That's the main question. Where are you storing the manure right now?
You mean when I compost it at my house?
No, when it
Oh,
comes
wait.
to
When we clean the cages, we get these, we have these Rubbermaid bins, and we put them in the bins and seal the bins. And like every 2 or 3 days, we take them off site,
So the bin's stored inside or outside?
inside.
Inside.
Yeah, and they're sealed, like you put the lid on.
Same with the shavings and so forth as well?
Well, we don't use shavings. We use wood stove pellets in the litter boxes. They have litter boxes, so we put litter boxes in the cage. We put wood stove pellets in there because they do a good job with odor control, and they compost great. And that absorbs the urine, and it also does a great job with odor control. And then we put a little layer of hay on top of it for the bunnies. And then when that gets dirty, we dump that into the bin, rinse the litter box, refill it with fresh wood stove pellets, and then hay and put it back in the cage.
You change it every time there's a new rabbit goes in it, correct?
Every time the rabbit goes to the bathroom, no, we'd be doing that like 6, 7, 8 times a day.
No, I think you said when a new rabbit goes in the cage.
Oh, yes. When we switch out rabbits, we have a whole crew.
I was with the 4-H for 30 years, so.
Well, the rabbit
Yes.
expert.
We change out the litter box with a new litter box, and we completely wipe down and clean out the cage. But we have a cleaning procedure, we call it a deep cleaning of a cage before a new rabbit goes in.
Are you working with a veterinarian service?
We work with multiple vets, yes.
Or do you have anybody you got on call for your facility, or?
I don't know if we call it on call. I mean, I have my friend Astrid on my cell phone. I text her all the time. Good friend of mine is a vet. I mean, we have lots of vets that we work with. We work with Littleton Animal Hospital. We work with Ram Mobile Vet that comes around.
If you're gonna have that many rabbits, I mean, it'd be good to have.
Well, when we have the clinic part, and it's gonna be, like, we want to redo part of the front, do the clinic, then there will be a vet in the hospital.
They'll be doing the
Monday to Friday.
procedures. We'll be doing the procedures, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be doing the procedures so they can easily check on all the bunnies too. And the bunnies, when they come in, we get them spayed or neutered and they get health checks. And then our staff are trained so that if they notice a problem, they can like some of us have, even though I'm not a vet, I have good assessment skills, and there are several of the people that also have good assessment skills. And we work with the vets, and, you know, we bring in, we had a bunny at Angel 3 weeks ago, like, we'll bring him into Angel or some, the places as needed.
Okay.
Does it make it a difference that you're saying, that and/or operation of a veterinarian clinic? Is that a whole different ballgame than shelter for rabbits? I guess that's, you know what I mean?
Well, we want to do, we're here for night because we need the special permit for the shelter part.
Yeah.
But the clinic part's already an approved use under CH, but because it's a change of use, we have to go before the planning board for that.
Doesn't that a license go with that?
Yeah.
Right now, it's currently held by somebody.
Well, we're going to build one from scratch, so I'm not sure I understand.
I guess, is there something that you have to go through the state for that permitting and stuff like that, though, I guess, to open that type of operation? I mean, a veterinarian clinic?
Yes, we would have to go through the state to get it licensed through the state, but I don't know if you can get a license a year before something's even set up and built or anything.
I'm just, yeah.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot of this too. I honestly, you know, I mean, we're looking, like, learning about the regulations and talking with people about what we have to do to set that up.
There's
So
a
it's
lot
probably
of
gonna
them.
be-
You better start looking early, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, there's not many for discount spays or neuters.
Pardon me?
Not many places that do discount spays or neuters.
I don't know about that. I honestly couldn't tell you that. I mean, there's a lot of people who do it, but.
Yeah.
So how many employees do you guys have?
Right now, we have one. Right now, we have one, and we have a whole network of volunteers.
Okay. So total, one employee, how many volunteers? How many people would be in the facility at one time, I guess is the question.
For just the shelter part?
Yep.
Anywhere between 1 and 3.
Is this a 24-hour meet? Is someone there 24 hours, or, so what would the hours that it would be?
Probably 9 in the morning, and then the employee goes home 5-ish, and then we have one person that's coming in the evening just to check in on, like, 7 to 9 o'clock at night.
And the noise levels?
No, bunnies are quiet, they don't.
Now, what do you have in Unit 2 next to you as for a business?
Is that the
There's
car
an
school?
auto school in the front, and I believe part of the livery service is in the back.
Yeah.
Big. It's
So the auto school is directly abut your
That's
unit?
right, yeah.
Have you met with the Board of Health at all?
Not yet, no.
But we've spoken
We've
with
spoken
Ray,
to them, yes.
and we've answered
Okay,
some
so
questions that
They're
she
gonna have to get
had.
in the picture here soon.
Yes, yes.
She had posed questions to both this application and the other one.
Yes.
So what's the interior gonna look like then? Is it,
It's just like it's just the tile floor and cinder block on 2 of the sides, and on the, actually 3 of the sides. And on the other side is drywall, but we're gonna have to cover it because the state regulations are you can't have drywall, so we're gonna have to put like plastic border tile
You have
on that side.
mildew like you read about if you had the drywall.
And then it's just like a big open area, and we're just gonna have cages in there and set up pens that the bunnies can have exercise time in. and an area that we can do adoption appointments when people come meet and greet. An area to the side where we're gonna store supplies, the wood stove pellets, stuff like that.
Bringing me to my questions. How many bags of wood pellets are you gonna have in here? And bags of food for the bunnies, things like that? Because concern I have, once again, unless I overlooked it, there's no comment from fire. So depending upon what they store, the quantities may be affected by, this building has a sprinkler system, but if there's an incident, the sprinkler system may not put the fire out. So I'd like to have the fire prevention officer at least chime in. Just like with 63 Powers. I don't know why somehow it got past him.
I did give a call over to Lieutenant Parsons earlier today. He did say the fire department didn't really have a concern from a zoning perspective about the use being there. Once a use classification is given to this type of use, that's when the fire department will probably be working with the building department hand in hand to figure out what exactly would be needed for, sprinklers or what have you.
How many pallets of pellets do you think you'll be storing?
At a given time, and when we get deliveries like once a month, and so we usually store 4 or 5 bales of hay, maybe 10 bags of wood stove pellets, and 2 bags of feed.
Hay, you can't store that inside.
You can't store the hay inside?
That's considered a public building.
Combustible.
Yeah, you can't store hay inside. See, there's these questions that,
That's why I said the Board of Health should have got involved in this earlier, I
Yeah.
think.
I'm not against what you want to do,
No.
but there's things that need to be addressed prior to, I think, in my opinion.
Okay.
So a lot of times when we do these permits, we condition them. We put
Right.
orders of condition on there. So I think some of these things that you've heard would be orders of conditions. You can only store 10 bags of pellets.
Right.
It has to be stored in the shed outside. or
Right.
Something else. And so on your hours of operation, that would be another thing. We'd say, okay, hours of operation. You said 9 to whatever, I'm going to be generous and say from 7 to 11, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. That way you're covered.
See, I don't even know if you need a license to do this. The state may have a requirement for you to, with this amount of animals, you may need, it's like a kennel. You can't just open a kennel without a license.
Right, we're registered with the Department of Agriculture.
Oh, you are, all right.
Yes. You can look up on their website.
They're aware of what you're planning to do.
Well, I don't think they get involved until we have the space.
Again, it's not too early to get these people in, because they may
Okay.
tell you something that we don't even know, that
Okay.
You
No, I
would-
mean, I have the list of requirements
Okay.
of what they want for everything built out.
I've seen them shut people right down completely.
Yes.
This is
I have the list
you
of
said you're
the,
22 years into this business, though, right?
yes.
Yeah. So you've obviously,
I mean,
Been
I
through
know
some
Mike
direct
Cahill's, I've dealt with Mike Cahill a number of times as the Department of Agriculture. So I've dealt with him and,
This is kind of a commercial space. Was your previous location similar? Was it more of a remote,
it's an office
freestanding building or?
It's an office building.
Pardon me?
An office building in Billerica.
Was an office similar, an office building? similar?
Yeah, I actually think it's more office than this place is, because I
This
don't,
place is more industrial.
this place is more industrial. That place isn't really industrial where we are now.
It just strikes me as this is more of an agricultural sort of freestanding out by itself operation somehow.
Yeah, but finding free spend, it's price and money, like,
Of course, yeah.
like, anything we looked at was freestanding was gonna be over $1 million. So you start looking at that, and it's, rabbit rescues don't pull in money the way like MSPCA and Ariel does and stuff like that, so.
That's what I mean, so you generate your revenue through donations then? Is that how?
Yes,
Okay.
we're 100% public supported through donations, correct.
the Big Rabbit Club for all of Middlesex counties really chumps it.
Mm-hmm.
You're aware of that, right?
Well, that's more like our.
They maybe help you out or something, you're looking for volunteers, things like that.
Okay.
It's an active club.
Sometimes if it's through breeding, breeders and rescue people kind of look at things differently.
They're not necessarily breeders, they're showers, but some breed, but no, most of them are backyard showers and things like that. The people that run it are very knowledgeable.
Yeah, we have a lot of very knowledgeable people too in our group.
So I'm assuming that you have thoroughly read the condo docs
Yes,
to make sure that this is an approved use?
Yes,
according to a condominium bylaw, never mind any of the rest of this stuff?
yes.
Okay.
The neighboring units were all contacted before an offer was even made on the property, just to make sure that they felt, and they were quite enthusiastic about it.
And do you think you need some sort of ventilation system for odors?
I don't think we do right now, but if we seems like it's going to be a problem, we can add one in.
Okay. And would you be okay with the order conditions that there are no dogs?
Oh, that's fine, yeah. Trust me, I don't want to go down the
To your
dog path.
point, the rabbits don't bark. I just saw cats, the cats don't bark.
Yeah, no.
We don't want to get into a noise thing.
Yeah, no, we've done zero, in the 22 years, we've done all rabbits except for one guinea pig. So, and the only reason why we're saying cats is because when we open up the spay and neuter clinic, we're not convinced there's enough of a need to support just rabbits. So we figured if we do rabbits and cats, that can give us the volume we need so that we break even.
You say you're gonna have 30 to 50 on the site at the site, plus, at the beginning, is that what you, 30 to 50?
We want to start out with probably 20 to 25 and see how things go. And we may just decide that that's the right number for us and stay there for the shelter part. But then the clinic itself may also need, but they wouldn't be staying overnight. But you could do 20 to 25 surgeries in a day, so you'd have drop-offs and pickups. So that would bring in the number to about 50.
Okay. I was wondering, you have something here,
Wow, that's a lot
possibly
of
75
surgeries.
to 100 with future growth, is that?
Yeah, I mean, we
That's a
we may
concern.
never go there, or maybe, not really sure.
So, combining his question and his question, is there in the condo docks an area for you to have outside storage if your hay and wood pellets are not allowed to be stored in the building?
That I'm not sure of. That I need to double check on.
Okay.
Plus, if we condition that, then you'd probably have to store the hay some other place and bring it in, and
Yeah,
rather than store it there, just bring it off site from another spot till the day you need it replaced,
yes,
I would suppose.
yes,
Someplace, any place, you'd store here in my backyard, I mean, it wouldn't work.
yeah.
So that might be your plan B if you can't store it outside the building,
Uh-huh,
I would think.
yeah. I mean, they seem pretty easy going in the condo, so I'd hope they'd let us put like a small shed right outside the back
Out
door.
back, yeah, 'cause you don't want it wet, so.
I
Right.
just want to back up. You said if you neutered a rabbit today, you let it go home tonight?
No, we usually wait, we want to make sure
You just
that,
said drop
Same
off,
day.
pick up. I mean, that
Oh, well,
that
somebody's-
concerns me big time.
that's what vet offices do all the time. That's something a vet office does.
I'm talking about one day. You don't observe the rabbit, make sure they've gone through the surgery all right and so forth?
If you were to take your personal rabbit or dog or cat to a vet's office, you'd drop off in the morning, you'd pick them up at night. That's standard procedure with vet practices, and
I guess what he was asking, is there anybody watching the animals at night after the surgery, or are they just left
well, we
alone?
don't, they.
They go home the same night.
They go home the same day.
Day surgery,
It's day surgery. They go in the morning, they go out at night.
like we have now as adults.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's pretty good if they're staying overnight.
In every place we use now, I mean, you pull around the vet clinics around here, they tell you you drop off in the morning, you pick up at night, and they send you home with payments.
No, there'd be a tremendous cost involved there if you're leaving them overnight and everything. I mean, I don't know how you can afford all that, but I mean, you said you're on all donations, correct?
Yes.
How do you get your rabbits? Word of mouth, or you advertise? Or?
Combination of word of mouth. We get a lot from ACOs, a lot, believe it or not, stray rabbits, because people see wild bunnies outside and they think they're the same as domestic bunnies and they set them free. And we work with ACOs on that to make sure they're aware that we have the stray bunnies, and we always make sure we have permission, making sure we're doing everything properly with that. But we get a lot of people call us up, they got a stray, they found a stray in their yard. Owner surrenders. ACOs call us, and we sometimes transfer from other shelters, especially in Western Mass. From like TJ O'Connor just sent us a bunch this week. We got a bunny in, today I got from North Shore Animal Hospital that was found as a stray in Lynn, and there was, that ACO, I believe, brought to North Shore Animal Hospital. North Shore Animal Hospital contacted us.
Okay.
We did, for point of reference, last year we did 480 adoptions. We averaged close to 500 a year. So there's a large need for rabbits.
Oh, yeah?
And the bulk of our rabbits are in foster homes.
Sounds like a kid. So I guess, from what I'm hearing from the board is we need to check on a few things. Do you have the list of things that we would like to find out?
The main one I've heard is about the shed for storing the hay.
So we need to have fire suffice their needs as far as how many bags of wood pellets we think is a safe limit.
Basically, everything can be stored in and out.
Right. Inside storage, outside storage.
From fire.
Board of Health.
Does the Board of Health wait in?
I don't know if the Board of Health is
You
going
have a
to...
meeting February 9th, you said, or 8th with the Board of Health, or no? Or
Lost track of the dates.
Yeah, I don't remember the dates.
All right, you have an appointment though, right?
So you were going to check with the condo association if you could put a shed outside for the hay.
Yeah.
And maybe the other thing you can think about too is if they're going to allow you to put a shed outside for hay, that you could take your plastic bins with the rabbit poop in it and put those in the shed too.
Yeah.
So they're not in your building.
Yep.
And that will cut down on any possible odors, even
Yes.
though there may not be. So I think that if you come back to us in February with the answer to all those questions,
Okay.
then we can make a decision, condition the decision, so you know exactly what you can and cannot do,
Right.
and it's not an after-the-fact oops.
Okay, so you want, shed on premises,
For the hay and for whatever. And so I think that the key thing here is call up Lieutenant Parsons from Fire Department and get him down there.
okay,
Go through everything you've just gone through with us, say what can I do and what can't I do.
right. Okay,
And then from there, you can go, okay, well, we need a shed because we can only keep so many pellets inside, or we can only
Right.
keep the hay outside. And then that's going to be the kind of the telltale, is fire.
okay.
And so once that's done, I think we're being pretty, I mean, I think everybody here is in favor of it. It's just that we need to make sure that,
I mean, my head's been spinning trying to learn everything and figure everything out.
Who's the owner of the condo? Are you the owner of the condo?
No, I'm her real estate agent. The buyer of the condo, she's not present tonight.
Okay,
That's
so
Christy
she would
Taylor.
probably be, I'm not sure if she'd have to be the person to make the decision on the shed, or...
The condo is.
It would be the
The condo
condo.
She's a
association.
member of the association, so she may be the person that would have to go to the association,
Yeah.
I would assume?
Yes.
Or you,
I
is that
mean,
real?
yeah, Suzanne can as well.
Okay, all right, I just, to get the imprimatur for the shed.
Yes. I don't know how this works, but is there any possibility of issuing the permit provided that none of these items are stored there until there's some resolution with the fire department? Because I know for you, waiting another month.
well, you've got to go to Board of Health,
Well, they were already copied and they asked questions and you responded to questions.
so you're not going to Board of Health?
Our Board of Health submitted a list of questions to
Yeah.
us, which we answered, and I haven't heard anything
Yeah.
back from the answers yet.
And you're going to Planning Board?
Planning board meeting is,
When is
yes,
that?
next, it's,
February 2nd.
February 2nd. So we meet
9th, so we're like a week after
for
that.
the week after that.
And planning board may have something to say about that shed as well.
Yeah.
the planning board is only for the clinic, for the change in use though, right?
I believe, yeah,
To-
because
to
we have to
allow
do
for
a
the
change of
clinic.
use.
I don't know. Oh, maybe they.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay. Is it,
I just don't want to see you spend time and money doing the wrong thing.
Yes.
I want to
I
see
get
you do the
that.
right thing right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm. I get that.
So it's two calls, it's fire and then the condo association.
It might be helpful to see a letter from the condo association telling them they approve of what operations you're going to have there. You know,
Okay.
we could see that, so.
in the shed?
Or I just say,
Anytime
I mean, you can come
doesn't
up
have
with
to
your
be
own
shed.
creative idea.
Because look, trust me, the condo association's going to come down you hard if they don't like what you're doing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I will do that, have my list.
So the meeting in February is when, Joe?
February 16th.
So can we have a motion to postpone this to February 15th?
Continuation?
Continuation.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So February 15th, come back, you've got a homework assignment.
Were we supposed to have contacted the board, the health department separately? Because they had a chance to weigh in, but then they didn't, 3 weeks ago, they didn't respond. So I didn't know that there was a separate.
Is there, Joe, do you know if there's a requirement for something like this for the Board of Health for storage of animals?
We can certainly follow up on the responses that the applicant provided with the health department. I know they provide some additional comments to the planning board.
Yeah.
The
Board of Health, so.
Yeah.
And I believe you just
And you said the
responded
septic was
recently to
Yeah.
that as well. So that
The number
probably
of,
would
And
be-
they ordered this Title V.
We can certainly follow up and get a report back to the board.
I was just reading the same thing.
Yeah, stay in contact with Joe because he's your go-to guy on this.
Yes,
And he'll make sure you get everything you're supposed to have.
yep, I will do that.
All right?
And before you do any work inside, make sure you work with the building commissioner.
He was the first call.
Yes.
Oh, but then he
Well,
would
as
be
far as
expensive,
the, yeah, I mean, as far as the shelter part, we want to get in for the shelter part quickly, and not just, we want to replace the sink for that part. But then as far as, we want to draw up plans and everything, but we didn't, it's kind of like a chicken and egg thing, because we didn't want to go through all the work to draw up the plans to fit the space without knowing we were going to be allowed to do it.
Right.
You know, but then you guys have questions about what we're doing, but it was like, you know,
Yeah, we're just looking out for you. So this is gonna help you, right? If you know that.
You gotta dot the i's and cross the t's.
yes, absolutely. Great,
Because at the 4-H, we couldn't even let the public touch the rabbits.
yeah.
They had to be caged off and roped off, and the state wouldn't allow us to even show them with the public without being, they couldn't have access to the rabbits. The one, there was a new rabbit disease out at that time. I haven't been involved in the last 10 years, but I was on the board for 30 years. And there's a lot of regulations for all these different animals, and rabbits, believe it or not, have a lot of them.
Yeah, which is scary, but,
Well, you have no idea. Well, I'm sure you do, actually.
yes, yes, great. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you in a month.
Yes.
Okay, the next order of business is to work on our ADU zoning amendments. And I wrote a very lovely letter to the chairman.
Yeah, well done, yeah, you wrote that, right.
The chairman of the board, and he wrote a wonderful letter back to me.
He did.
He did,
Yes, he did.
I saw that.
And, so it appears that they like our idea. They had a couple of questions regarding new construction versus renovation and things like that, which I think are great questions. And I guess they would like to have a joint meeting at some point to discuss this further.
Yeah, once we get some feedback from town council, make sure everything is looking, how it needs to. Yeah, at that time, it could make sense to have a meeting together.
Is better referred to town council, Joe? Is that in the pipeline?
Now that we're doing the research that the planning board asked right now.
Okay.
So once we kind of have that complete, we'll get everything over to town council, so that way they get everything at once.
Okay.
And then they can provide us feedback, and if there's no glaring issues, and then have both boards get together.
Anybody have any comment on any of this?
No.
The ADU?
I don't think even working on the changes would be better for the applicant.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for your attendance tonight, we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very
I have a question.
beneficial, yeah.
On the, section 3.3.5A, upon the transfer of ownership of the premises, the new owner shall send an affidavit to the board certifying that the accessory dwelling will not, I guess it should, that's kind of maybe, will not be extended?
Yeah, the language is a little...
That's a little, yeah.
So is that just taking it off our plate and letting him stand up?
It says has not been extended.
Well, the has is crossed out. It's
Right.
It's a little tough to
So what the
see.
previous position was that someone had to certify that that as a new buyer, that it has not been extended.
Right.
And That's eliminated now, so it will not be
So
extended.
we will not be, right, correct. It will not be extended, enlarged, or altered to increase its original dimensions.
Okay.
And now it also gives kind of a buffer of when they close on the property, because otherwise you would have had to submit an affidavit basically the same time that you bought it. And this gives a little bit of window of 90 days.
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, the old requirement for a new buyer was kind of onerous, that, how does he know it hasn't been extended in the lifetime of the permit?
Correct.
It's 20 years old and he's buying it. He can't certify that someone didn't do something in the interim.
Right,
So that's good that that's not, and then the new buyer has to certify that it's not going to be extended.
Correct.
How's that gonna trigger?
That makes a better paragraph by a lot.
So in that sentence, Jim, will not, the word bin should actually be B.
Should be B, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's no burden on the new buyer this way, which I think is a good thing.
Well, look at the people from Acton Road. Right.
They know what they're
That's what I'm saying, how do people know that they have an EDU permit? Is anything alerted to them, I wonder?
If they're a savvy buyer, or they have a real estate broker that has something on the ball, they'll check on it. They can call up town hall and say, hey, is this an ADU? Is it legitimate or is it not legitimate?
Yeah.
5% commission, they should be, it's the least they should be doing.
Before, when they were saying you can't use them for rental property, they were sliding them by us all the time because they didn't want to turn them in. They were money makers for them. Now they can do it legally, and then, we can't stop it.
Well, they could have before, it wasn't necessarily
Well, we didn't
irrelevant,
interpret
we
it
just
that
kind of
way,
got hung up on it, but it wasn't the case. So I don't think that's changed.
So before it was just really family members, right?
No, it wasn't, it never was.
It never was.
Never was.
We kept installing them, they were.
No, we kept getting stumbling over that, but we kept getting corrected on it, that it wasn't.
A long time when we did it, it was really mostly just family members coming in. And we had them sign something that said it would only be a family member in that unit, believe it or not.
Yep.
I had to sign something for mine.
Yeah.
My house, yeah.
We used to have
But that hasn't changed, this one hasn't changed from the old bylaw. The old bylaw hasn't changed.
Yeah.
That
Well, I
new-
mean, this is better, because you don't have that condition on it.
But it wasn't in the last one either, that condition hasn't been, that's unchanged.
Right, I agree. But I'm saying a long time ago.
Maybe, it's been around a while. I know.
It was definitely interpreted differently at the beginning than when he started doing this.
Well, I think our intent was that it was supposed to be for a family member or to age in place or something of that nature, and
Well, that's mostly what we saw coming in, so we kind of drank that Kool-Aid, but that wasn't, we didn't really pay close attention to the bylaw, because 9 out of 10 were family members, right? 9 out of 10 were family
Let's
members.
put it this way, we're lucky no one sued us. But we never denied that. How many did we ever deny, really?
Very rarely.
No, I don't recall denying it.
They were all family.
Yeah, we're all family.
I said they were, who the hell knows?
Well, we don't know what happened after the fact, that's.
Well, we always have the one.
Now it doesn't
my wife
matter.
was gonna
It
be
didn't matter. It
pregnant
doesn't
3
matter.
years, so we know she can't walk.
Know your mother, you sure you want to do this?
For consistency with other boards, some boards have elected to go virtual in their upcoming meetings. Didn't know what the flavor was of this board. Guessing that you would like to continue to be in person, but just wanted to throw it out there to get the board's perspective on February meeting and future meetings, just as we're going to have to send out advertisements for the February meeting pretty soon. So we have to know where to say the meeting is, whether it's virtual.
Today's health thing on the news is
Never go back to Zoom.
down again.
yeah. So you heard it here, if we go back to Zoom, you'll have to find yourself a new chair and number, because I'm not doing it.
I think it might make a little bit, I'm not sure if it does or not, but if we ever get something like that McDonald's thing again, where we have a throng of people here, that may be a different issue. I mean, tonight, we didn't have an overabundance of people here. We didn't have a very vigorous agenda. They were all, nothing controversial where half the town shows up and the other half is waiting on the hall. But we had a kind of a little bit of an issue with that McDonald's thing in the middle of, and then people were complaining about due to COVID, and they were in the hall and they couldn't see, they couldn't hear, and they da. So I just think that the caveat to that might be, if we have something like that comes up,
That's gonna be hard. We have to manage it somehow. I don't know how the hell we do it. We put it in the auditorium and spacing at one of the schools instead of here or something like that, but we did have a big overflow for that McDonald's thing. If we had to, we'd go back to the Millennium and sit in that big auditorium.
Well, something like that, yeah.
Safe distance.
If it's,
I want to go down to the new fire station and use their big room, because that way if someone gets sick, the ambulance is right there.
It's not big enough. The room's not big enough.
And they have free coffee and donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't eat.
So I think all.
I saw you guys coming out the other day, my
Yeah,
God.
just wanted to get the board's perspective, just because other boards and committees in town have elected to go virtual, so we just wanted to get.
Well, that's why I asked you. What's the lineup? Do you have any, is it most, few or most, or is it?
A good number have, the planning board is actually holding their next
Plus,
meeting virtually, the conservation commission is holding.
What are the selectmen doing?
They've been virtual for.
CPA has
a
gone
while.
virtual again.
Yeah. So a number of boards and committees have. I think just trying to get through this
No, it's
wave.
it's a very good question. Very good question.
That's been going on with the hope that after, the winter time, we'll be able to go back.
They said
in
the
person.
wave is going down as of tonight, but I don't see it ending myself, but you look at the numbers and.
Well, plan February's meeting for a live meeting. Do you have any idea what's on the agenda yet?
I don't think it'll be quite as busy as tonight.
You haven't seen the old days. This would be a light night tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Back, we'd be here till, Ball had a limit for 10 o'clock.
But we never, we never.
So then, yeah, we'll plan for a live meeting and then we'll reassess in February to see what March looks like. Hopefully the numbers are going the other way.
Supposedly they're supposed to be going the other way.
Yeah,
my understanding.
that's
New
what
cases were in half of what they were per day.
Right.
That's it for a day, yeah.
Per day, so. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor?
Second. Standing vote.
Perfect.
Off here.